Hello.
Everybody, it's James here with Damon. Damon, how are we doing today?
Doing very good. Looking forward to the Stanley Cup Finals rematch and what a game it's going to be tonight.
Yeah, well, is it? No, I guess we'll find out. There's a lot of storylines heading into tonight's game, and as we promised those viewers out there, when we do our pre-games, we like to be fast, furious, to the point, get you all the information you need to be ready for tonight's game. So, Damon, there's quite a few things we want to cover here in the next 8 to 10 minutes. So let's get right to it. These teams last saw each other in July, fighting over the Stanley Cup Finals. It was it was what it was. It felt like a million years ago, to be honest. Like, did you anticipate that we'd be back here in December of 2021 with two teams on such different tracks?
I personally didn't expect the season to play out this way. I definitely thought Tampa Bay would lose a lot more pieces, but Julian
Yeah.
Brisebois has done a great job of keeping most of the team intact. And the other thing that I found, Montreal, I thought that we'd be a more of a better team but on paper we are a good team. But the thing is, a lot of injuries have riddled us this season, so it's definitely been a much more of a step back than I've definitely anticipated for. So it's definitely quite a gap since we last met, but you never know.
You never know. You never know what can happen. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you are not part of the Habs Tonight channel. We got tons of great content. Just yesterday, we put out our weekly roundup. We talked about a ton of stuff around the team. And then obviously we had Dale Weiss on and talking about his impressions of the Marc Bergevin firing, someone who was hired by Marc Bergevin twice as a player. So you don't want to miss that. But yeah, tonight we are revisiting what was for many a painful memory, getting so close to the Stanley Cup final. And now back here, two teams in much different universes. But Damon, I got to ask just quickly, why do you think, other than injuries, is there something that the Lightning do from a institutional perspective that you think is leading to them being more consistently successful as a club?
The thing that I personally feel on that's part of the subject is that they're really good at developing and scouting and drafting players, even though they haven't had as many first round picks as they usually have. And they've typically traded away a lot of first round draft picks and even their first round picks, but they still do a good job in the later rounds of the drafting. And also, one thing I heard that the Tampa Bay Lightning do, which is a really smart idea, is they leave some scouts scouting a lot in the queue. And that's how they get a lot of their good players who are contributing now, such as Gabriel Fortier and Alexander Barry-Boulet, who are in more bottom six roles, but are still playing a good part in contributing. And Tampa Bay is doing a really good job of scouting right now, and that's what I think is continuing with their success.
Let's talk about debuts tonight. We've got two coming up. We've got Kale
Kale
Clague with a
Clague.
K, and
Yeah.
then Laurent Dauphin. Not his first dance in the NHL, but he's been called up by the club from the Laval affiliate, primarily when Josh Anderson went down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the top scorer for Laval Rocket. He's coming up, and it looks like he's going to slot likely on the fourth line with Paquette and I believe Perot. Let's
Pizzetta?
bring up those lineups.
Pizzetta, I think.
Pizzetta, yes, Michael Pizzetta. He's been a fourth line staple the last few weeks.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for Clague, who's going to be on the third pairing tonight on
The
defense?
way I see it with Clague, I have some good expectations for him. I saw what he did at the World Juniors and in Junior, and even when we played the Kings twice this season, he was definitely, in my opinion, one of the better Kings defensemen, and he's definitely good enough to quarterback that first power play, which is what I've expected of him tonight. Which I
Yeah,
expect of him tonight, I should rather say. Because of all the injuries, and he's really good puck moving, and also both ends of the ice, he's really responsible. So I think that right now he already has a roster spot, even when the healthy guys, I mean, the
oh,
injured guys become healthy eventually again. I still think he'll stick around and continue with a roster spot.
right. Okay. So I mean, I'm looking at Daily Faceoff again. I like pulling up their lineups because they got the pretty little jerseys here. But we got Drouin, Nick Suzuki, Hoffman first line, Lecky, Dvorak, Evans second line, Perot, Paling, Caulfield, and then Pizzetta, Paquette, and Armia, who's not playing. We feel like we're projecting that Dauphin's going to go in there.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously Sherratt, Savard, and Romanov, Weidman, Kulak, and then Clegg, as we mentioned, Kale with a K. And Savard obviously playing his old club. He's won 2 cups with the Lightning. And on the other side will be Corey Perry, who was obviously a stalwart on our fourth line last year. And you saw that something online about them, Corey Perry in particular, reaching out to some of these ex-teammates
Yeah.
last night.
Tyler Toffoli and Josh Anderson. I saw a photo of them online out for dinner together at a bar in Montreal, which it's pretty nice to see that the players are getting out together again. Even though they're on different teams right now, it's still nice that they're hanging out in something they couldn't, of course, do last year. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, enjoy it, boys. Go out there, have a drink, and then beat the crap out of each other on the ice afterwards. And maybe let our guys get a couple goals in for old time's sake. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Toffoli, more injuries. He's out. He was pretty banged up. That Saturday game was probably the last game he'll play for a few, at least, because that was a pretty rough and tumble Saturday night hockey game. And then before that, he had been hurt a little bit, upper body injury.
Yeah.
Was the report after the Thursday game against the Colorado Avalanche? That's right. So I think any insight as to what's going on there? Just nicks and bruises, or something longer term?
For me, I'm not fully sure, but for me, after I saw the hit that Curtis McDermott laid on him in the Colorado game, I thought this is definitely like he's done for the night. But I was surprised to see him back on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just think that Toffoli might be out longer term, because the way that hit was, it looked to me, it looked like it should have definitely been a penalty, and also Toffoli didn't didn't take the fall easily. So yeah, that in my opinion, that was definitely like a penalty, and also like that to me doesn't look very good. Like because like Toffoli, like he's been a key player for us, and like that injury looked pretty bad in my opinion when I first saw it.
Yeah, hopefully he gets well soon. Obviously, the lineup has been deeply impacted by all the injuries. Caulfield probably back on the third line tonight. So where do you want to give our coach some advice at this point with the lineup blender? Every night it's a different lineup. Very hard to have any form of cohesion. We know there's injuries, but is there somewhere where you can at least lock in some stability here to give the players something to build off of from game to game?
Yeah. For me, like I just think like that Ducharme should develop more locks, because I always feel that the main locks he typically has when we're fully healthy is Suzuki at the number 1C spot as the number 1 center, and then from then on it can easily just change. Like it can just be Ducharme playing around with the lines quite a bit. But for me, like I just think that Ducharme sort of needs to know that I wouldn't say the season's like a write-off, because you never know what could happen. Colorado, I mean St. Louis, as I'm sure we know, in 2019 was last place in January, then won the cup. But sometimes hockey is a sport where you just never know. There's a lot more variables than the other sports that are out there. And I'm still like kind of clinging on to as much positivity as possible this year. So that's sort of my thing right now. I just don't know, like, right now with, what Ducharme's gonna do, but he doesn't seem to be playing the youth enough in my opinion. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
wanna see Paling and Romeo out there more, and, like, even the 3-on-3 against Nashville, I wish we saw them more out there.
Right. All right. Well, look, all I can ask for tonight is as entertaining a game as Saturday. I called Saturday a moral loss. I know they still picked up a point in overtime. So I know I saw that in the comments. Some people said we shouldn't be too happy about that. But if this team can build an identity playing an entertaining two-way style of hockey, not overloading the goalie and developing the youth and finding some bright silver linings here around the development of the youth, then perhaps we'll have as bright a future as the Tampa Bay Lightning do year after year. Thanks again for joining me, Damon. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch just because of the history between the two teams, obviously. And just, I think some of that, even though there's like 3 or 4 players that are literally on the Canadiens tonight that were on that team at the end of, they were playing in those last Stanley Cup games. I think there'll be some energy left over from that. And with that, please hit us with a thumb up. We love it when you give us the smash that like button. I'm James. That's Damon. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you at the next game.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks a lot.